Guess my daughter's right. I'm a dragon pixie. There is so much glitter on my face right now. So hello and welcome to Domy Tries This. I hope you brought your cuppa. Today's coffee mug is one of the very first coffee mugs. We got a breeze coming in. I'm getting steamed out. Anyway, this is one of the very first coffee mugs that I showed on the channel. That was almost 2 years ago now. And this is a coffee mug that I got from Stash at the time. As you can see, it has little dragons. Well, not little, but it has Chinese dragons on it. Let me get this over here where you can still see it. So, it is one of my favorite coffee mugs. It is a little difficult to clean sometimes, but anyway, today's tea is the traditional Medicinals organic Spearmint. This is from the March Sip Spy. I think I mentioned I'm not a big Spearmint fan, but we're going to go ahead, like I always do with their teas, going to give it a try. This is from my last box for a little while. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and give it a try. It has not been steeping long, so it shouldn't be very strong, and hopefully it won't have that aftertaste that I don't like. I'm expecting it to have it later, maybe. Let's give her a set and then we'll get started. It smells pretty. It smells kind of delicate for a mint tea. Okay, so the mint is just starting. Like I said, it has not been steeping long. It is just getting started. It doesn't have any of that taste that I don't like on the back end of it. But there we go. We'll let it sit for a little bit. It's not going to get to sit as long today as it normally would because with the get ready with me type videos, I actually film this after I do the getting ready with me. As I said, it's not going to sit as long as usual because today was a get ready with me video. And the way I film the get ready with me, I do the get ready with me before I do the tea. So it's not going to get to sit there that long. Very short amount of time overall. Anyway, so today I wanted to do the first of a new series called Domy's Dragon Bytes. And basically I want to answer questions. Well, today's video is on a question nobody asked, but I wanted to get the ball rolling to let you guys know. Basically, you can ask whatever. I reserve the right to refuse to answer. That's it. But you can ask personal questions. You can ask my opinion. You can ask advice with the caveat of understanding that my few psychology courses were not in actual counseling. They were actually in things that my son needed. So they were in speech therapy and things like that. So understanding that any advice I give to you is not coming from a certified professional. But you can ask any questions you'd like, and I will pick and choose questions once a month, and we will go ahead and do these little kind of bite discussions where I answer that question, hopefully within 15 or 20 minutes so we don't go overly long. But so today's topic is how I met my husband, pretty much, and how we got together and got married and all that. It's very short. It's an interesting story. My daughter said that it was a little too personal, but there was a reason for that. I want you guys to feel free to ask whatever. Like I said, may not get answered, but you're free to ask whatever. Anyway, we are making this look today, and let's get started. So as I said, our first bite is going to be on how my husband and I got together. We've been married 22 years now. But let me tell you, it didn't start off easy, and it almost didn't stay. Just, you know, things. So a bit of a background first. I was a single mom. I had just gotten divorced. Well, I'd just been divorced for a couple of years. I was in school to improve mine and my kids' lives if I could. Kind of chose the wrong major, but you know, hey. Stuff happens. And through that process of that divorce and the things that led to that divorce, I was hitting that point where I wasn't going to take any shit. So that's why things weren't easy, as you'll find out once my husband and I got married initially. So to start things out, like I said, I was in college. I was trying to get a good degree so I could go on and hopefully get a good job. I was thinking about going into the schools as a teacher. There are several ways you can finance your college degree. I think most of them are still there, and one of them was work study. And what I did for work study is I went to tutoring. And I tutored English, I tutored math. I think that's about it. Wasn't very good at science and stuff like that. So my husband, Chris, had signed up for tutoring and was assigned to me. And the day that he was supposed to be there, he ended up being late. This is not necessarily his usual thing. I don't know why he was late that day, or if he told me, I can't remember. But he was late, and I was sitting there waiting, and we're supposed to only wait about, 10, maybe 15 minutes. The sessions are only 30 minutes long. So once you hit 15 minutes, it's almost pointless to be meeting. But I was just about to go. We had hit the 15-minute mark, so I was just about to go when he came running in and was saying, is my tutor still here? And I said, are you Chris? And he said, yes, I am. And I said, you're lucky. I was just getting ready to leave. And we went back to tutor. Poor guy wasn't very good at math. He's gotten better. Being a chef, you have to be able to do some math. I started tutoring him. I think I was meeting him 2 or 3 times a week to tutor. And we actually took a liking to each other from the get-go. It was really interesting because you're not actually supposed to date the person you're tutoring. The minute you start getting an interest like that and you start actually going out, you're supposed to tell them at the office, and they are supposed to reassign. They don't want any lover squabbles in the tutoring rooms. And he didn't want a new tutor. I was helping him out a lot. His grades were finally going up in math, and he didn't want to risk that with a new tutor. So when we started to date, we didn't tell anybody. We were bad. We were really bad. So we started to date, and the attraction we had, I guess, was a lot stronger than either of us had predicted. I was in a position at that point where I really actually wasn't interested in getting attached to anybody. Like I said, I was just out of a bad marriage and kind of an abusive marriage. It wasn't the husband's fault for the abuse, but because he'd been abused, he couldn't stand up for me either. And I just was a little gun shy. And this relationship with Chris ended up going very quickly. Very quickly. And I don't know. It was within a week or two. People were looking at us and they knew. They just knew we were together. We started having lunch. He started making sure I was eating. The thing was, he was doing the same thing. He was doing work study as well. He worked in the cafeteria, and he knew that I was coming in and I wasn't eating in the morning. I would come in at 6 o'clock in the morning to get to my classes. That's when I had to take my buses to get in. And he knew I wouldn't eat until I left, and I didn't usually leave until the last bus of the day, which was like 9:30 at night. So I was going all day without any food. And so while he worked in the days he worked in the cafeteria, he made sure I got some food. It was supposed to be his food, but he split it with me, or he would give it to me depending on what it was. Basically, he just made sure I was eating, which I really appreciated at the time because being a single mom, I was on aid. I didn't have the money to do anything, to pay for anything. And I was trying to make sure most of my food at home was going to my kids. So I wasn't eating until I got home late at night, and then I would eat a big dinner at night. That's what I would do. Sometimes I would grab something before I left in the morning, but not usually. And so he was making sure I was eating and giving me his food from the cafeteria. And people really began to notice us hanging out together and being together. And I mean, it's kind of hard to miss when two people are spending that much time together and they're obviously very attracted to one another, which we were. There were some problems, but at the time, for some reason, I just didn't pay attention. And I probably should have. But if I had, we would never have gotten married. I'll tell you that right now. I would have broken it off. Even though I cared for him so much, there's a point where control freak is a little too far. So anyway, people began to notice us together, and they said, "You two love each other." Now, this is like a week or two into our relationship. We're still just sort of exploring things like that and weren't really even thinking like that, honestly. But people were saying, "You two love each other. We can see it. You love each other." And we were like, okay, whatever. Like I said, that was about 2 weeks in. And, but we were starting to spend more and more time together. We were feeling very connected. And I think within another couple of weeks, we finally did admit that we loved one another. We're talking a 2-week span, 3-week span here. And we just stayed together, and we got towards the end of that particular semester, because I was on the semester. This was in my junior college, not the university, but the lower college where you can get all of your general eds taken care of. And we were getting towards the end of that, and we lived in 2 different cities. And we'd been talking about things, I told him about the kids. I think I finally had to meet the kids at one point. I say finally, like it's been months. It's just weeks. Anyway, so we were heading into summer. I don't think I was doing summer session that year. I decided not to. It's really hard to do summer session unless you can, come up with loans and stuff. And those first couple of years, I didn't do loans. Or I should say the first year I didn't do loans. The second year I did loans. And so we were coming up to the end of that. And I was just like, well, I'm not going to have money to come out here when we're not, when school's not in session and all that. And we were just being very, I don't know, it was almost like we were connected at the hip. And I really did care about him. And at one point, I just finally decided to go all in. And I actually asked him to marry me first. And he initially was like, wait, let's think about this. And I went, okay. I didn't have a problem with waiting and thinking about it. So I remember being at my bus, getting ready to go home. It was like the last day of finals or getting there, and he was there. He'd been walking me to the bus. He wanted me to be safe, so he was walking me to the bus every day that I was in classes, which was pretty much almost every day. I think my kids went nuts during this time. I don't know. I think they missed me lots, but they had someone good taking care of them. At least I thought she was. I hope she was. I didn't hear any complaints. And I was getting ready to go on there, and he said, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and get married. So that's how we got engaged. I asked him, and about a week later, he said, let's do that. And we got through the summer, and we were still trying to see each other. We're still seeing each other through the summer. And then in that December, we decided to do this on New Year's Eve. I don't celebrate New Year's Eve. It's just a night when people get drunk for me, and I don't drink, so there's no point for me to celebrate New Year's Eve. And we decided on New Year's Eve we were going to go ahead and get married that way. We decided to do it in front of the Justice of Peace. I had told him flat out, if you want something If you want something more than that, that's fine. I already had my big wedding. I wasn't interested in putting all the money and time into a big wedding, but I was willing to do it for him. He was just fine with going in front of the Justice of the Peace. So that's what we did. We went in front of the Justice of the Peace to get married. We had our kids there. My kids there. He counts them as his kids now. I mean, it's been 22 years. His parents were there. I think my mom was there. My mom is a very interesting case that I can discuss at another time, possibly. But yeah, so we went in front of the Justice of Peace on New Year's Eve. We went next door or very close to there to have our dinner with our family. We did not have a honeymoon. We didn't have the money for, I mean, we're struggling students. So we didn't have a honeymoon. But we did all that, and so that's how we met and got married. We almost didn't make it for the 22 plus years because one of the big issues was that Chris at the time, and still to a degree now, it's not nearly as bad because he knows I won't put up with his bullshit. He's a control freak. And he didn't want me seeing certain friends. And even then, I was like, I'm going to go see my friends. If you got a problem with that, that's your problem, not mine. And he was being very, I don't know. He was being too much of a parent to my children. And at their ages, you cannot be a parent to kids like that. The earliest you can parent a kid if you're going into a relationship with someone else's kids is you have to wait as many years as they are old when you meet that person. So, or when you move into that house with that person. So if your kid is 2, you have to wait 2 years. You'll have to wait till they're 4 or 5 before you can actually parent. Well, a couple of my kids were 12, 13. They were up there. So there was no way he was going to parent them. And he was trying to parent them. And like I said, he was trying to control what I was doing. And I didn't appreciate that. So at one point, I finally just said, you know what? Get out. This was like, I don't know. It was very early in our marriage. But I did. I said, we're not doing this. You're not going to come in here and do this to me and my children. And so I threw him out. And he changed. He decided that the relationship was more important than being, you know, like that with me and the kids. It still took some time for him to work that out. But he made that choice. I appreciate the fact that he made that choice. And we've managed to make it through. But, so yeah, that's the story of how my husband and I met. And married. We've gone through other things, but nothing else other than him trying to be really controlling like that ever really had me ready to say we're done. So we've always tried to work on it since then. We've figured our balance out between the two of us. And yeah, so that's basically how we've always been. I mean, we have our fights now, but they're not that huge. I think sometimes he's afraid that if he's a little too pushy, that I will walk away again. Thing is I still loved him, even though I told him that I was done with that shit. So it was very hard for me too. And I still love him now. So it would have to be very agrarious. It would have to be really serious for me to consider doing something like that again. But we've worked it out, and I'm glad we did. Anyway, that's this bite. I'm going to go finish up this face, and we'll come back in just a minute. Alrighty, so here is our finished look. I went ahead and added a little bit of Vanessa's Vanity Angel Wings in the inner corners. I don't know how long it's going to last, but here's what we're looking like. Very simple. For me, it was simpler than usual. And a little bit lighter on the colors, actually, also for me. I did struggle with a couple of these, but one of the palettes was very old, and I think that's part of the problem. I think it did okay for being an older palette. One of my old favorites that I haven't used much. When I got it, I didn't want to use it much because it was an expensive palette, and I was like, I don't want to use it all up. Little did I know back then. At any rate, I hope you like the look. I hope you like the questions. And I hope you like what you've seen, because that is it for the day. And if you like what you've seen and you are not subscribed, I hope you will subscribe. If you choose to subscribe, please hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Currently upload 2 days a week, Monday and Thursday. But we do bonus videos. Not as many as before, but we do bonus videos. My son does his My Geek Box every month, and I will be opening any kind of subscriber mail on here. My indie brand openings are on hold right now, and with the weather not picking up and warming up, I'm not at all sure we're going to get to our garden this year. It's looking pretty bad. It is still, I mean, we're going into April, and we are still too cold for me to start putting in the peppers. The tomatoes might work later in the year, in the season. They don't take long to grow. So if you're interested in any of those, they do not go up on our regular upload days, and you would have to have that bell rung so that you're notified. If you're one of my notification squads, you'll want to check both your subscription and your bell to make sure they're both still active. And if you choose not to subscribe, well, I understand, but we'd be disappointed, and we're kind of hoping that you'll come back again, because we love having the company here. And when you do come back again, don't forget to bring your cup of tea. Now, as I said, it wasn't going to sit long. It's been in here about 5 minutes, honest to God. So giving it another taste. At 5 minutes, it should be ready to go, unless it's one of the ones that had like the 15-minute. There was one that had a 15-minute steep time. Oh, this said for 5 to 10. And then it says to squeeze the tea bag and enjoy 1 to 3 cups per day. Alrighty then. I can squeeze the tea bag. I don't even have to take it out of here to squeeze the tea bag. We just press it up against the thing. It bubbled at me. There we go. Alright, gonna give it a taste and see where we're at. It's not much stronger than when I first started it. It is honestly no surprise. Like I said, it's only been about 5 minutes total. It might do better at 10. It is not having that bitter aftertaste, but I still think I prefer peppermint over spearmint. It's just a thing. Anyway, that's it for the day. I hope you have a good one.